Perfect. And we got our son.
Oh, we good. Good morning, everyone in the room and everyone on Zoom. You're on Zoom, you're missing out. It's a packed house and there's donuts and yogurt parfaits.
And maple bars.
Fresh fruit.
Maple bars as requested.
Special order.
Special order. But we are happy you guys are all here in person. Let's look ahead of what is going on this week after our headliners today.
Turn that camera on, show them the full room.
I know.
I got a video of it.
Okay, on Thursday, Rick Gray is flying in from Boise to present to you guys. He is an author, a best-selling author, real estate coach. Pam, you can open that up and pull in some stools. He used to be at this market center a long time ago, but he is great. And he's partnered with Who's the AI, who is one of our AI partners. And this is going to be like a level 2, not like your basic integrating AI into your business. This is going to be like
It's Who's the
2.0.
2.0. So they now have integrated some analysis features. So it actually is a lot smarter. This is our private. Who's is not private to us, but we have our own private portal through Who's. So this is a meeting you want to be at. More and more realtors are using Who's, and the AI is pretty unbelievable, and it's growing as fast as anything we've ever seen. So,
and if you don't know what we're talking about, and you don't know what Who's is, you should attend.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to register, but it does help us just know for like spacing and seats. So please do so. And that is in this room Thursday at 11. So Rick Ray is a great presenter, and this will be some new material. Okay, and then also on Thursday at 10 a.m. we have our KW commercial meeting here at the Bridgeport office for all of our commercial agents. But if you are not in commercial, but you want to be, you're welcome to attend. But otherwise, it is just for our commercial agents. So just a reminder that that is at 10 a.m. on Thursday as well. And then next week, our very own Rochelle is teaching social media content management. That's a new variation of our social media classes. Do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, we're gonna be making a content calendar for the rest of the year. So
Oh,
there's
I
lots
love
of
that.
content that you could be posting between now and the 1st. So it's just start finishing the year strong, so you start the year strong.
So cool. And then it's like a workshop. You'll like leave with it made. So,
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So, and you don't have to sign up. You just show up in this room, 11 a.m. on the following Thursday, the 26th. Okay, what else do we have? Ramona is teaching a money mindset class also on the 26th. We try to have a lot of our special classes on Thursdays. So they're all loaded up on Thursdays, but Ramona's not on, is she? It's okay, she's not. Okay.
I'm on Zoom.
Oh, you are on Zoom. Ramona, do you want to talk to everyone about your money mindset class?
Yeah. Sorry I couldn't be there today. I just wasn't coordinating with the drive. So yeah, I'm really excited. Sorry I'm not on camera, but I'm really excited about this one. It's harnessing material from many of the coaches and the thought leadership around your relationship with money and the work that they've done to help promote just abundance in your work, and so that you are able to get, it's not just about working more, it's about having the right mindset and doing more with what you do. That sounds like a loop. Just come to class and learn how you can have the right mindset so that you take the right action so that you get the results that you want.
I love it. Who doesn't want that? A money mindset. So 10 a.m. next Thursday here at the Bridgeport office. Thanks, Ramona.
You're welcome.
And then save the date. Our business planning clinic once a year is going to be offered November 8th. And it is right now we're putting it for 9 to 2. And we'll plan on having lunch served. And this is a great opportunity to just kind of look at where you are at in your business and then look at where you want to be and figure out how you're going to get there using the models of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So this is great material. It's a KW University course. We're going to be teaching it using all the material, and there's workbooks involved and a little bit of pre-work and numbers. So please register for this one. so that we can be prepared. But this is, I mean, a great opportunity to get ahead and plan your business for next year. So
Yeah,
we're
this is
excited.
all about actually setting up a business and running a business and having projections and also trying to analyze how many people you need to contact throughout the year to generate the business level that you want. A lot of good planning tools, pre-planning tools that KW is known for. So we're going to implement it all.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then you know what? I
What?
forgot to say,
Hmm.
happy birthday to Kelly. It was yesterday. We took the day off. Do you feel wiser?
I know, not right. Unfortunately. Same old daft, sometime with a good idea guy.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. We got that going.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. All right. And then save the date for our holiday party, December 15th at 7 p.m. at Bricks, and you can bring your significant others. So the Bricks right now down here in Tualatin. So save the date for that and mark your calendars. Okay, let's pull up our year-to-date numbers. So this is year-to-date through September. Our top agents. So Rita Wolf at 21 million, Cricket 12 or 19. Geez, excuse me, 19 million. Nice job, Cricket. Linda 12, Bradley 12, Nikos 11. So round of applause for our individual agents. And then for our groups and teams, Office of Darrow Bodel 116. Fox Real Estate Group, 87 just for the agents here, but 129 million total for their expansion team. Waldman and James, 31 million. Team Schwab, 30 million. Right on the total.
Barely.
And the Clark Group, 17 million. So round of applause for our team. So there's still a whole quarter left. Yeah, if you want to catch up, beat them,
Yeah.
move around, shuffle spots. So, but congratulations to all the hard work for everyone up there. And those of you in the room who are there too. Kaden, congrats on your first closing. Okay. And then we've been getting more and more spam texts. I know they used to just come from me. Now they're coming from everyone. And just want to remind you, we will never ask you to buy us gift cards and save our phone numbers.
Even on my birthday, I wouldn't do it.
I
Even on my
know.
birthday, I wouldn't do it.
I know. And if I did, they'd probably be like Nordstrom or something.
Yeah,
Not
it's true,
just-
right? Yeah.
just-
Not just Amazon.
It would
necessarily,
be
yeah.
like Amazon or Google
Yeah.
Play. Yeah.
If this is Crane, I need a Neiman Marcus gift card stack.
Right now.
Pay attention to that.
That might be real.
That might be
That
real.
one might just be- So save the numbers if you haven't already. Just know because the scammers always text from a different number and say it's us. So
And Kelly wouldn't say, hello, are you available? Let me know if
Yeah.
you get my text. And Kelly does. He would
Yeah.
never say that.
Probably not say that, no.
right. So I know the other day it was like they were coming from everyone. So
Well, and I just got a UPS scam. I guess several other people have. You guys seen that one?
Yep.
Yeah. Looked pretty real until I saw who it was from and I Googled them and I thought, okay, they're
there are
getting
a lot
good.
of very realistic ones.
Mhm.
We've been getting some on our, this is relevant because you guys might get these on your Facebook business page and it comes in as a notification from Facebook that like there's something going on with your account. And so it seems completely real because it's a Facebook notification, but we showed it too.
How to like get suspended because you're not following some guideline or something, so it's like click the link to verify or something like that, it's a scam.
Yes.
Talk to our IT guys and
It comes from Facebook. So that's why it's really tricky because it is a Facebook notification. So you like, even for our office Facebooks, we're like, is this real? But it's not. So just be really wary. If anything seems like a scam right now, it probably is. All those, we get a lead in online like every day now to the office. That's somebody that only wants to talk through WhatsApp. So, you know, those are scammers, like,
Mhm.
so
We
just,
were just in a meeting the other day about, I know some of us have dealt with this in the room, about a seller who
Oh,
says they're out of
yes.
state or out of the country, trying to sell a piece of property here, and things we can do to avoid tripping over those. So it's a thing, it's all over the place. And they can be very convincing. You'd be like really smart people fall victim to this, because we're optimistic. We want to see, somebody calls us and wants to list our house, we want to list it. And
right.
so.
well, no, it's not absurd for somebody out of the country.
It's not, right, well, especially if it's like a piece of land, they own a free clear,
Mhm.
you know, it can be very It seems very reasonable.
It's always 1.8 million or more.
Yeah, yes.
Kay had one though, and they like sent her driver's license. I
Yeah.
mean, like all these like legit things. She was like, I need to see verifications. I mean, yeah.
I got one with financial statements, bank, I said, send me proof of funds. I mean, I knew it was a scam, but so he did
Mhm.
from Chase. So I called Chase. I said, no such person. He had
Mhm.
4.8 million in his account.
Yeah,
Yeah. So just keep your,
yeah.
your
Pay
senses
attention,
Too
up.
good to be true.
Pay attention to your side, your spidey senses.
Your spidey
Yeah,
senses. Yes. All right. So now we're excited to introduce Mike Hammel, our new lender partner in-house. He moved in, he's part of our new company, Homefront Mortgage. And Mark, you've known Mike for a long time. Why don't you come up here or you don't have to come up and tell everyone about Mike.
Yeah, I'll say this, I've known Mike, gosh, it's been probably 12, 14 years now, maybe. And done business together over the years. We have common friends that are great, great friends. And I couldn't be more excited when they announced that he was gonna be our in-house lender, because he is exactly what we all need in-house at this time, the way the market is. Besides experience, like, this guy cares more than anything. Family man, solid faith, like he is all about taking care of your clients. That's what I love about Mike, and I know other agents in our office use him as well. And so couldn't be more excited about that, but also the creativity, like how do we get things done in this market? When it's not easy, right? When it's easy, like I think any lender can just do deals. But he's the guy with creative solutions, with the experience, that cares, that when you answer your phone call at 7:30 on a Sunday night when you're trying to put an offer together, like that's him. I'm not volunteering his time. I always say that because I know that's true. And he's here to get things done. So I couldn't be more excited to have him here and having worked with him in the past. So super excited.
Thank you. Call me at midnight, it's fine.
I knew.
So Mike has moved in to where Academy used to be, and we are so excited. We talked a little bit last week about the savings for your clients that we can have through bringing things in-house. But Mike, tell everyone a little bit more about yourself and
Yeah. So I've been in the mortgage business for 23 long years. That's why I'm gray and balding.
it's
Uh,
a popular hairstyle around here.
yes.
Yeah, so, and sorry in advance. Sorry in advance. Yeah.
I'm holding on to as long as I can.
You're better than we are. Yeah, yes.
It's getting close, trust me. Been married for, okay, hold on one second. 21 years.
Good.
Yeah.
21 years. I've got a 11-year-old son that takes a lot of my time, which is fantastic. A lot of sports. Yeah, just super excited to be here. Thank you guys for the kind welcome, warm welcome. Looking forward to working with you guys, and I'm always available if you have any questions, loan scenarios, whatever it may be. Feel free to call, text, stop by, whatever it may be. We'd love to help. Yeah.
So cool. And there's, Peter, we send those around. We might not have enough. Probably need to print more, but a little flyer with Mike's contact info on there. But we'll also make sure it's shared.
And there are cards.
Oh, and it's right there too. Save them in your phone. Yep, there's cards up front. We have some new Homefront Mortgage pens available.
6,000 pens
We have
came in yesterday.
6,000
Yep.
pens available.
Thought it was a computer. But no, pens.
The box of pens. So, and then tell us, you're gonna teach us about something today, right?
Yes, we're gonna talk about buy downs.
Buy
which I
downs,
think is
okay.
extremely important in this environment we're in right now,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah, pulled up over here.
All right, excellent. So right now, the 3-2-1 buy down, which basically means that the first year the rate's gonna be bought down, you're gonna have, let's just say your rate's 8%. The first year is gonna be bought down to 5%, second year will be 6%, third year would be 7%, and then we'll go back to 8% based on that fixed rate. Hopefully we'll be lower than that. The thought is that it's gonna give them, a lot of reprieve as far as payment goes for the first 2 or 3 years, depending on which avenue we go with. So let me see here. Let's just say we're doing a $600,000 purchase with 20% down.
Zoom in for you a little bit here. Cool.
Yeah. Whoops. All right. And we'll say that our rate is 8%. Yeah, that would not be good. I promise you won't be 800.
Not yet.
Not yet. Give it a week. What is going on here?
0.08.
0.08, yeah.
Don't mind me, guys. No, I'm just gonna go 8. Let's just go 8. Not 8.0. We'll just go 8.
8.8. That's right.
0.08.
There, leave it.
108 is.
0.08. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I don't think that's gonna be right. 0.08.
No.
0.08%.
It's not.
Well, it
it's
should
more
just
than-
be
more than
0.8.
10 side.
Anybody else?
Yeah, it's not percent sign. I think you're right. The numbers are right.
Yeah.
What is it?
0.08 is revenue.
0.08.
Well, yeah, because your example says.
There we go. Thank you, whoever that was, everybody. All right, so you can kind of see on a 3, 2, 1 buy down. Like I said, the first year is going to be 5%, second year will be 6%, third year will be 7%. An initial payment at 8% would be $3,522. That first year, we're saving $945 a month. So over that first year, saving about $11,343. Second year, $644, and then the third year, $328. So the total cost for the buy down, and we've seen it, $23,000 the seller have to pay. That particular buy down here.
Now that seems foreign for the market we just came out of, but when they're not selling their house and they've been on the market for 2 or 3 months.
Right.
And their agents talk to them about the buy down, or excuse me, reducing the price, this might be really attractive to them.
Seller credit is going to be better than
Absolutely.
a reduction,
Yeah.
most definitely.
And the issue is, a lot of people have pride about what they sell their house at. They're willing to pay the discount points, but they want to maintain the price for their neighbors, because they know the neighbors are going to hear about it. You'll figure this out over your career. And so maintaining the price, but paying discounts is a good way for people to be happy about their selling price.
And it's more impactful to the buyer too, right? Like the money they save by the buy down is gonna be greater than the amount, the change in price, right? And so, just I guess a solid thing for everybody involved.
So the 2-1's going to be probably more apt to be used between the two. But you kind of see, like I said, that the first year, actually the rate will be 2% less than the market rate that we have locked in. Second year will be 1% lower. The payment on that's going to be about $644 a month savings between the two. So $7,700 over the year. The second one is going to save them $328 a month, and about $3,943 over the second year. So seller credit's gonna be about $11,674.
So if we had a client, a representative buyer, we had a client interested in a house. The only way they could make it work is with some kind of a lower rate, because the rates have gone up so quickly. They can call you, you can create a screenshot, you can send it to them. They can include, they would have to ask for a credit of $11,674.20 from the seller. That would be in the offer. Seller to pay $11,000 of buyer's discount points at closing, right? It's real simple language. And that way the seller knows they pay that at closing and the buyer gets that loan. The trick is, you need to know what that number is, which is why we're talking about it today, because we can't calculate. It's very difficult to calculate these numbers when he has this tool, he can pull it up immediately, give you the number, and you can include it in your offer and get it accepted.
Yep, not a problem at all. I can do this within seconds.
Yeah.
Shoot
Are
it over
you
to you.
doing a lot of these right now?
We are, most definitely. I think it's, with affordability being as tough as it is, this is definitely a key way to combat that.
That's great. I think it's really important, right? Right now, Mark even said it with the creativity, right? We have to just look at different options, but in a different market, we might not have to. So, and then especially like that $11,000 is so much more impactful like that than as a price reduction.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
as you're working with buyers and sellers, this
Yeah.
becomes very important.
Because in 3 years, rates aren't convenient.
Yeah, we should actually do that. We should actually do a slide that says, if the seller reduced the price, if you'll have to do this for your seller. If you reduce the price by $11,000, here's what the payment would be for a borrower at 8%. If you pay $11,000 for a 2-1 buy down, here's how many more buyers can qualify to buy your home. And so we used to do this all the time in these environments, and which is why we're talking about it, because you're starting to see it more and more. It's a good way to get your home sold, because you can start to market the numbers in your MLS listing, or you know, you can have drop down flyers that that the agents can pull down, and they can see this math, right? So you get a lot more deals together if you're representing a seller and you do this and you give people the numbers and you have your seller agree to it up front instead of lowering the price.
Good stuff. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And yeah, go talk to Mike if you have questions, if you're just curious, and if you wanna have him run some numbers, and maybe you can grab some business cards to give to everyone, because I don't think I have them.
Yeah, I sure will. I'll go grab those right now. Anybody have any questions about this program at all? Yes.
So 1.5 buy down, is that just a 2 or, okay, it is. Can you schedule it in a way where it's, instead of being a whole percentage point, can you do half a percentage point and extend it over a longer period of time? So instead of doing like 3, 2, 1, doing like 2, 1.5, 1.5.
So right now we're looking at the 3, 2, 1 and the 2, 1. And let me see here.
There was a map there.
Yeah, and the 1. Unfortunately, I'm not even sure why they added this in here, because it's not even something that's available, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
We really find out the right permit, but I don't know that that's gonna have the same
yeah.
effect long term, because, you know, you're betting that, what do they say, you marry the house, you date the rate, right? So the idea is that you're gonna refinance when the rates are better, so maybe that full rate buy down may not be probably as important as doing the staggering, that's we can really take advantage of it.
I work with another lender, and actually a full rate buy down, if they're not planning on refinancing, is still more impactful than the price.
Right, yeah.
It's like every time you buy down rate, it's no matter which structure you use, it's better than the price.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that comparison at the next week's meeting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right,
Thanks, bud.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's true. So, and we touched on it last time, but we just want to touch on it again too. The benefit of bringing in Mike and Homefront Mortgage into
Beyond the service,
our
beyond the
office,
quality.
right, beyond all of the amazing like rates and everything like that, is just that by bringing it in-house, we are cutting out a lot of the overhead, right? So he's in the office here. There's no origination fees on any of the loans. The closing costs, when you're just looking at it, are like really low, lender fees and processing fees. So that translates directly to your clients. So that's why we kind of went down this path in the first place, was to really be able to get your clients lower closing costs.
Yep.
Overall
Yep.
in rates, right?
Yeah, if you're used to your clients paying a 1% loan fee, you know, on a $500,000 loan, they're paying a $5,000 loan fee. In our case, it's basically, it's going to be a processing fee and what's loan servicing fee? What's the other one called? Where'd Mike go?
He's grabbing card.
There's two fees. So instead of paying a loan fee of 1% or 1.5%, which is thousands of dollars, we have like $1,000 for processing fee and $1,000 for underwriting fee. So by doing this, we eliminate all the other fees that your clients are paying, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to start this company, because now we have the tools to be able to do that. What are the two fees called? Just the
It was underwriting and processing.
underwriting, processing and underwriting. Okay, perfect. So it'll save your clients money. That means more of their money can go to the down payment, or to fixing the house up in a way that they would buy it if they can put new carpet in it or whatever it is. So it will just help you get more deals together, which is why we're doing this.
Right, it's really that straightforward, which I like too, not a lot of.
Yeah, it gives us,
What's
as an
that fee?
office,
What's
gives us
that
more
fee?
control over that, and then you don't have to negotiate. I know with Academy, I love Academy, but I had some family do some loans with them, and I looked at the rates and the fees, and I'd call and say, really, you know, you're gonna charge a 2% loan fee? How about 1% or 0.5%? And I didn't like that, because I don't like my clients paying 2% loan fees when I know there are better options out there. This is the lowest you're gonna find. That's, as far as I know it is. Have you seen anything lower?
No.
Yeah, so,
As a broker.
yeah, so use this as an advantage. Remember, if you have a listing and someone comes in and says, we want a $7,000 credit for closing costs, you can say, wait, if you go to our mortgage company, you won't have $7,000 in closing costs because you don't have the loan fees and basically the loan fees. So it's a way to help sell listings. It's a way to help your buyers get more house.
I love it. It's the intention was to almost emulate the credits that you got back with Keller Mortgage. That's where we started.
Yeah, and it's better.
But with a bigger bag of tricks, better service,
Right.
everything. Yeah.
All the right.
Yeah.
But better. Okay, awesome. So everyone make sure to go meet Mike. Okay, now we have our headlines of the day. Matt and Mark from Fox Real Estate Group. Come on up so they can see you on Zoom too. How are you guys? Thanks for joining us.
Great, absolutely.
We're happy you're here. So you guys are selling lots of houses still in this market, right?
It's been busy, yeah.
Doing all
It's
right.
been a good year. Everybody's working hard, but yes.
Can I ask you, how many people do you have on your team? Agents, brokers?
Currently in Portland, we have a handful of new agents, 11 agents.
11 agents. And I just want to say this, like, I review their paperwork and I can't tell a difference from one agent to the next. Like the consistency of the product that you guys deliver baffles me. Like, it's so cool to see you guys deliver such a like consistent level of customer service, expertise across the board. I really admire that about you guys. Anyways, that's just my little plug. But it's really impressive.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell everyone, how are you like this year versus like, are you on track to hit your goals that you kind of set out for?
We're off goal. We set lofty goals like everybody did going into the year, but with the market being down like 35-36%, I think we're down 11 point something percent. So we feel that's a win.
Yeah.
And everybody's working hard and implementing tactics and systems and using the process that we have in place, training, things like that. So that's helped.
That's
But,
great. You're
that's where we sit
outpacing the
number-wise,
market.
yeah.
So what has, obviously we've, with the market shifting, sellers, houses are sitting on the market longer, right?
It's been a different, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
tell
I've
us
been
about
in real estate 7 years, so I went through the experience when I
Just
first
7
got in.
years?
Just seven.
My
Just
God.
7. I know it's been a quick 7. I didn't have any gray hair either, so the bald thing I'm holding off on for a little bit. We'll see. So I went through a stage where the market's always been pretty good, but I had to work with sellers and get that skill set to kind of maintain them. And then we had a couple of years where, we were just always the hero, right? Like, call you on Monday, I got this many offers, and never had to really get that skill set out until recently. And I've been spending more time with sellers than I have in the past in a long time, and had to kind of re-engage. And we did a similar talk to our team because it's just changed things, like we have to be on our game and manage expectations and, really what we're in for in the current market, because all they know is what their neighbor said when they sold about a year and a half, 2 years ago, right? That's what they want to be. And that's not the situation.
How do you set those expectations?
I think it's at the listing appointment. So up front, I'm not saying it right off the bat. We want to secure it first. And then we talk about, here's what it should look like, right? Here's average days on market. Here's the months of inventory, which are still amazing for listing, listings. But like, if you set that up front, they're not thinking that it's going to be sold in 5 days. Right. And then we can manage, and we talk about kind of stages, what I'll update you on and so forth going forward. So it really helps so that they're not expecting a call on Monday with 4 offers. Not to say that some don't still expect that, but at least we've offset it a bit.
Right.
I think it all starts with expectations, like Matt said. I mean, this can even go as far as, what's being talked about with buy downs, right? Is explaining to your seller, this is probably what we're going to see. So when they see something with a $12,000 or $20,000 seller credit, they're not blowing out of the water going, how does this work? And why are they asking me to pay this? And I don't want to do that. And then that, you know, that doesn't usually end up being good because it's buyer and seller thinking like this. So it's just really explaining the expectations, not overselling it. They obviously trust you if you have the listing. And then I think the trick becomes is how do we help them stay knowledgeable and knowing what's going on, knowing their biggest concerns, knowing their big why, knowing their motivation, all these things, so we can help coach them through the process. Because it's not selling in 4 days. What if it takes 50? What if it takes 2 months, right? And what if it takes going from this price to this price in 3 offers? And why aren't we seeing multiples, all this stuff? And so I pulled this up from a training we do in our team, but I just want to show this really quick because it kind of sets the framework for a lot of this. It's the top reasons listing agents get fired, right? Because our goal is to help our sellers navigate through this, right? And not just sit there and do nothing. They get frustrated and they say, you're out of here. And I'm either not selling or I'm moving on or I'm renting or whatever. So the top 6 are this: agent does not listen. Number 6. Number 5, slow to respond. Number 4, poor marketing, right? It's always the marketing's fault. Bad photos, which is a piece of marketing because they think their house doesn't look as good in the photos as it should. Number 2 is did not find a buyer. That's an important one. But number 1 is lack of communication. And so that becomes the trick in a process where we're hand holding them through this. And when I got into business into 2005, you know, the crash happened. We had 14, 15 months of inventory. I can remember managing 36 listings and trying to keep people happy because their homes weren't selling. And so there's an art to that for sure. But it all starts with the expectations. That's it.
Okay, tell us more about that art and what is that? Are you talking about price reductions in that first expectations meeting or?
One thing I want to touch on
Oh, yeah.
what he said is understand each client's motivation. Because if you approach every situation the same, that's not the case. If I have someone who's already sold or bought a home, they're under some pressure with a payment, they took some out of a 401k, and they also might have some fees. I need to know that because that means we get to be more aggressive with this, right? Because I need to help coach them and look at the big picture because they may not want to take a price reposition or a credit, but I'm like, if I start reminding them that we have some fees out here, they understand that I know their situation, right? And if I don't know that and I'm just like, oh, like this, I had a conversation like this yesterday and it kind of opened up the dialogue and it's like, we need to be more aggressive. Our motivation is higher than someone who just got thrown in the market and are like, hey, when I get to Texas, it's fine. I'm okay with patience. So I think that's the part too, is we always bring back to the motivation and they forget sometimes too, right? Like they move on like, no, you want to be with your grandkids, right? Okay, let's make this happen, right? So just keep that at top of mind and individually kind of cater the conversation there.
Yeah, I think we, right, if to influence in a positive way, we always say we're the consultant or the boss, right? Give important direct information, but then take that step back and let them make the decision with that information. That's really important. So again, we're the consultant, they're the boss. Script we use a lot. We're having those hard conversations. But to influence in a positive way, right, to help them understand the options, we have to have a relationship, right? If you don't, then you're not going to have any influence. I mean, you think about that with your family or your kids or whatever. Like if you don't have that relationship, there's not going to be any influence. So I think that becomes really, really important. And remember this too, like their confidence comes from your confidence. And I'm not saying you're having conversations with people like, and sounding like Eeyore on the phone, because that wouldn't be good. We wouldn't do that. But I mean, like, we got to bring it. Like, we got to bring the energy, the excitement, the optimism of where we're heading in the right direction. We're taking the right steps, because if we don't have that, they won't have it. If they don't have it, we're done. You're done. Your listing's done. And they're going to move on and do something different. I think that's important.
I love that. Like, and I think you guys exude that in a great way, right? It makes clients feel like you know what you're doing when you have that confidence.
Yeah. You'd mentioned like, how do you navigate when you got to do a price reposition or so forth. At the meeting, listening appointment, I usually would tell them, like, if we don't see the price that we've listed it at, it's going to be the market telling us, and I will give you some indicators of what's telling us this. And I call it the triangle. So you have the seller, you have the buyer, and then you have the market. So it's never Matt's opinion, right? I'm trying to stay away from I think it is. It's like, here's what the market said. Here's my views we've had. Here's the feedback and blah, what it may be. And the market's told us this because that's easier to digest than saying that I think you should do this. Doesn't mean the conversation is always easy, but it makes it where it's not directly a correlation, because, I've been there. I mean, I've been through a lot of deals, but you don't want to be like, this with your seller. You want to hopefully see them and see that I'm on your side here. And this is what we're being said. And we were hoping for this, but based upon this feedback, here's what I would suggest.
Love that.
I said to him, Matt says, like, talk to them about showings and views and all this kind of stuff. Like, remember this, if we don't tell them what we're doing, or you don't tell them what you're doing, they don't think you're doing anything. They think all realtors created equally. So we have to share that stuff, like tell them what you're doing so they know. Otherwise, they're sitting at home, at night having a glass of wine with their significant other going, the house isn't selling, Bob's not doing anything. And you are, right? Or Bob is, but they don't know it. So we have to share that with them. And that, like Matt said, like that could be in showings, it could be in views, it could be in, open house attending. I mean, whatever it may be, conversations, phone calls you're getting, like we have data and analytics we can share with them. That's going to be really, really important to know we're on the right path and have that confidence. And when you need to get to a price drop reposition, right? This is, you need to talk this way with your clients. You never want to have a conversation about dropping the price. You never want to use the words drop, reduce, or lower. Like if you do it, all they think of is negative, right? It's all about, the market is saying we need to reposition the price. Like that is huge, you guys. If you say drop, lower, reduce, you're going to get about one of those and your client's going to have enough, because all they see is just giving up money they never had, right? We need to reposition it, right? To get an offer and have somebody to negotiate with.
That's good. That's a good little nugget right there.
Yep.
Okay, what does that cadence look like?
Because I'm curious about like, so what do
Like
you,
how often?
yeah, like what do you automate as far as like, are you automating feedback, are you automating showing setups, or are you keeping like everything analog so you're staying in contact often?
We do have the feedback set up, so that does automatically, but honestly, we are very hands-on, so we don't have very many like there's not an auto generated report outside feedback. It's us looking at it, minimum in this market at least once a week. And I haven't had to do this for a while, and I'm not saying it's recommended, but with sellers that are high intensity, I mean, it's pretty consistent communication throughout the week.
Yeah.
To let them know what's going on. They have a lot riding on it, right? And that's a part. I think you do a lot of deals you forget about when you have a lot of clients that, you're managing a lot. It's their whole life, right? That's all they think about, what Marc was saying. And you got to like put yourself in their shoes and go, well, of course I would want to hear something, like, how's it going? What'd you do to follow up? And sometimes you could kind of take like, I'm all over it, but like, if you don't tell them, they think you're just like hoping for the best.
Yeah.
And so at least once a week, but and one thing that I would say in this market, I typically can do most of this via the phone effectively. But in the market that's getting tough, there's times where you got to get face to face again. I'm going this Wednesday to someone. I feel like the best way for me to approach this is to see them in person, because I don't think I'm going to get the same.
And you set that up before they asked for it?
I did. I'm proactively doing it because I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel that things, and this is, there's a divorce situation, so there's a lot going on here. If I don't get in front of them, like, why would I not take the time? I put all the time in to earn the listing, and now I'm going to lose it by not going back to make a quick visit. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's a really good point. You put in the time, you put in the money.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, is it the best use of time? I don't feel, but yes, it is, because it's going to hopefully put us in a position where we can actually sell it at the price it should be.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where you're managing each client kind of individually. And most of them I can do via phone. And I think that's the most effective way to manage your time if you got a big business.
Right.
But in some instances, you got to like react to the scenario.
Yeah.
And I've learned that from mistakes. So that's why I've been there before. I was like, I should have went and met them, because now I can see that this disconnect happened because I didn't do it.
Yeah. It's really hard to play catch up with a listing client, right? Once you get behind the eight ball, you don't deliver on, you leave the flower box empty or whatever it might be, right? You don't deliver on something they're expecting. It's just so hard to catch up when you're under the pressure of everything else.
Once one thing goes wrong, that's what they attach to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say, I mean, go ahead.
When you're going on a listing appointment and you're the second one, what do your clients tell you the reason they fired their last realtor?
That's a great question. I would tell you,
Unless it's the Clark Group.
exactly.
Hairstyle.
As I have, they say hairstyle. You know what? The two things that come up are communication. I didn't know what was going on, and number one, they didn't know how it was being marketed. So even if it was being marketed well, they may have forgot. So that's what we got to remind them. Hey, by the way, we had this many views. This is what's going on. Like, here's what we did, because they forget. So that's typically the two main things that will go up.
They have no idea what their realtor was doing.
Exactly. Because they're in the dark, and the realtor could have been busting their butt. We don't know, but they didn't tell them. And what you don't tell them, they don't know.
That was important.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. That's why it's like over communicate, like everything you're doing, like make sure they know.
And we're definitely in the environment where probably right now, half of the realtors are not calling their client because they don't have anything to say.
But they're afraid to talk to them.
Yeah. Back to the cadence of the question, like, what does that look like? Yeah, here's the deal. Like, every one of us, all of us don't want to make that call, right? You just don't want to make the call because it's not fun. It's you're not, your stomach's in a knot. It's not good news you're delivering. And so what we need to do is, we always kind of set a goal from customer service, whether it be in a sport team or just any situation, and it was brought up here is, we got to get to them before they get to us. If they have to call you and ask you what the heck's going on, then we haven't done our job. So you might need to adjust your cadence of communication, but schedule something. I don't care if you have one listing or 40, schedule something so it's in your calendar to use that time to follow up with people. And you know, each person is different. Like you can't just, it's not one size fits all with communication, but have something like in your calendar as a reminder, like, hey, I'm going to spend, these 2 hours on a Friday and this is what it's focused on. So there is some cadence to it and consistency, but we got to get to them before they get to us.
We've actually went on a fair amount of expired listing appointments lately where you can see the price has not been repositioned once, which means an agent was fearful of having the conversation, right? They're just putting their head in the sand, probably going, I hope for the best. And I'm not saying all clients can tolerate this, but I've had a conversation with a client before. Hey, if I wasn't a great agent and working out for your best interest, I wouldn't be reaching out to you today, right? To just be real honest and like confident, because that's in your best position I can put you in is to have this conversation so they won't sit back and hope for the best, because a lot of agents will do that.
Yeah.
And they are hard conversations.
That's a really good point.
But
or reiterate their goal.
Yeah.
Like reiterate their why.
Yeah.
And then you can say, okay, with that said, here's what, and then go into it, right? You got to tie something to that.
Yeah, come on.
What does that conversation look like if you don't see activity during the weekend, you have that follow-up call to make, you don't have any good news to bring? What does that conversation look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of time just saying, because we hold a lot of open houses, right? So we're able to go over, review what that may be, and then base it on the last conversation of what we had. It may be an opportunity to seed the idea, and if we may need to price reposition. Again, we're not always going for a win instantly, right? You got to think 2 steps ahead. Like, hey, by the way, it's a little slower than I was expecting. I thought we'd have a little more activity based on that, but right now we may want to think about price reposition. And let's go through this week, but let me just look at a few things, and we'll touch base next Monday. So you can set up the conversation, right? Like that way you're not hitting them all at once and they're like getting caught off guard. And then that way you have a better opportunity to do that.
It's really powerful if you can say that, to expand on that a little bit. If you can say that, like if you think they might be thinking, I'm going to call about repositioning the price, and you're thinking we need to reposition the price. If you can call them and say, here's the activity, here's whatever's going on. I'm not saying this week we need to do this. Then they know when you say it, you really mean it. You're not just saying it because you want a commission, right? So it's powerful to say, not now. I think we're good, but let's readdress this maybe in another week if we don't see something. Like it's really, really powerful because that will stick in their heads when you're having a conversation. They're not just saying, oh, the first conversation we're having about this is you want me to drop my price. Right? It's really important.
That's another good one.
And something with that, if someone would say, hey, I want to reposition, let's just do 5,000. I would tell them, basically, unless it was a really low price point, which we don't have a lot of those, I would tell them, hey, I just don't think this will reposition enough. I honestly recommend we stay the same. Right. And that's powerful too, right? Because it really is going to do 0 to really reposition us, right? So we're not repositioning, we're just giving away 5,000. If someone's going to make an offer, they're going to win.
Yes, because you're going from 5 to 15 on the next price change, right? It's be 10 next
It's
time.
not going to do any good.
No,
So,
right.
right. But that's also conviction in what you think is the right
Yeah.
decision. And usually they'll respect that, and either they'll go to what you expect or you'll wait and then do it the right way and not just do these little small increments.
Yeah.
And remember this, they trusted you from the start. Like if you have that listing, they trusted you.
Mhm.
And for whatever reasons, whether you know them or not. And so it's powerful as well, just to say, if I was in your shoes, like you're the real estate professional, they know you do this every single day. To say, if I was in your shoes, here's what I do, and it's a bigger reposition, then get ahead of that versus them saying, yeah, let's reposition at $5,000, right? And then you're kind of negotiating with your own client. But that's real powerful to say, if I was in your shoes, here's what I do, knowing what that will do for you or your property.
Mhm.
And this is absolutely key. When you do a reposition, always talk percentage and then go to dollars. Percentage 3 to 5% sounds really good. And then when you convert that, that's $25,000. Okay, well, you can see how insignificant that is in the big picture.
Mhm.
And then it's easier to understand 25,000. If I go in at 25,000, it's like, shock factor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go as well when you convert it back the other way, right?
That's good.
So usually start there, and it just helps them to kind of digest it quicker.
That's good. And so I know every client's going to be a little different, but do you have some metrics or benchmarks that you want to see as far as views and showings, things like that, or to know how much you're going to reposition the price?
We basically will look at there's key things we're looking at: MLS views. Zillow, we know everybody's going there, so it gives a good idea of what traction. I've looked at a lot of the saves. It's kind of interesting when you see how many people are saving. It gives you kind of indication, right, how close we are, which has been something I didn't pay as much attention to recently, but it kind of tells you a story. And then the feedback that we're seeing based upon the views, right? So if we're seeing quite a bit of traffic, right? But we're just not getting an offer, then we're probably a 3 to 5%, right? We'll go, hey, we're close, we're just not quite there. And but we're seeing like online views are really good, but no one's actually coming to see the home. We probably might need to go like 5 to 7. And if we're just dead in the water, right? We need 7, 9, 10. I mean, no one's showing up, no one's really looking at it, and we've been on the market for a while. We overshot the market and we're not having any opportunity. So
Okay, similar to like the shift bullseye. Right? We've talked
very-
about it.
yeah, it's that's and it works. I mean, usually it's pretty accurate, you know, honestly, and it's amazing when you do reposition, you can tell about stories of what has happened, right? Like we should start generating offers. Now, one thing I would say this, and I made this mistake, is set the expectation that you don't expect it tomorrow, right? If you don't tell them that, they think you repositioned like 3 days, we should have an offer. Well, in this market, it's a reposition. Doesn't mean we're going to have it right tomorrow, but we probably will see something hopefully in the next week or two, right? But if they think it's right when you do it, then now you're backtracking again, right? Because you didn't set the expectation, which goes back to like this business in a nutshell. Missed expectations causes the biggest disconnect and the most problems for the agent, right? We didn't set it up right now. It's not meeting that.
Yeah. With the holidays approaching, do you guys change your systems up at all, or?
I don't think we really do. I mean, we gotta probably be closer and more detailed with all these conversations taking place and setting the expectations, maybe heading into the holidays, but nothing drastically different, I would say, heading into the holidays. I mean, it's, it might be those conversations leading into, do I want to list my house now or not? Like at the kitchen table, not so much any difference at the point in time of showings and activity. Yeah.
I think even in the current market, if a home is priced right, it's selling. I mean, we have buyers in multiple offer situations. We had one we repositioned about 2.5 weeks ago, had multiple offers this weekend.
I'd agree.
You know, so it seems to be that even with all the chaos and craziness that we're dealing with, when priced right, there's still buyers there.
I'm seeing the same.
Still no inventory.
There's no inventory. Yeah, there's still no inventory, right? So there's not a lot of options, right? Yeah.
One time when we were talking about price reductions, we always talk about brackets and how people search.
Yep.
And ask them if they're looking for a $700,000 house, do they look from 695 to 7? And so quarter centuries is how people search. And
1000%.
That's effective too.
If you guys didn't catch that, what he's saying there is really powerful. It's like unless you're a client and there's some people, I want a house priced on this number because this is my favorite number and it's whatever. But the car sales of the 995s or 999 stuff is silly because you're missing out on people viewing the property, and it all starts online. Like we know that's where everybody goes. So if you're getting price repositions, like if you're $5,000 over a $25,000 mark, I personally would bring it down, be my own home to the next $25,000 mark, because when people are putting their searches in these search engines, it's $25,000, $50,000 increments. And so you're going to catch so many more eyeballs above and below if you're at 800,000 versus 799. 799, the 800 to $900,000 buyer never sees your property.
They're the most expensive.
And they can afford it. Yeah, that's right.
Good point. Exactly what we discussed. And it's taking a strategic reposition, not just a reposition, right? Like we want to get to a certain level to expose it to a whole new group of people. Because if you don't do that, there's a small reposition, right? Reactivates from people who've seen it or maybe on the sidelines, and then maybe you're close. But if you're far off, you have to get a new bracket, right? Because now they see the value in the property where the current group didn't.
Right. That's a great point. Okay, what about when you're meeting with sellers and they ask, should we just wait till after the holidays? Should we just wait till the new year? Should we wait till the spring? What are your conversations around that?
I think it all depends on their motivation. I mean, you can go back to that. I mean, why are they wanting to sell it? What's the reason? What's behind it? Is it moving to get the grandkids? Is it just we want to sell because for whatever reason, downsize, upsize? There's plenty of great reasons to buy and sell in the holidays. There's two sides to that coin. It just depends on the client's motivation.
Yeah.
Right. I think sellers think, well, nobody's looking. Well, guess what? You're going to have what we always say is you're going to have more qualified buyers coming through, people that are serious and less looky-loos. So less traffic isn't a bad thing, right? You don't want 100 people coming through your house, right? You just want the ones that are serious, correct? Yes. Okay. Then the holidays are fine. And we say this: if you take your house off the market for the holidays, I mean, just reconfirming. It's like, Peter, you do want to sell your house, right? Okay. If your house isn't for sale, it will not sell. I promise you that. Done this a long time. If it's not for sale, it's not going to sell. So why take it off the market? Or why take it off the market, or why not list, right?
If you were a serious buyer, would you be looking for a home on Thanksgiving or home with your family?
Yeah.
When also inventory drops.
Yeah.
It's less competition and really serious buyers, but it goes right back to motivation.
Right.
If their motivation is light, like, hey, you know what? Then, okay, well, let's do it. And the first couple of weeks of January historically have been amazing for us. So
Yeah.
like, but let's secure the listing, provide some value, and then see what we can do to get everything set up. And that will be here before, it's not being here, it's gonna be quick, right?
Awesome. One more question, then I want to turn it, just see if anyone else has any questions, but you talked a lot about relationships and having that relationship to have that influence. Do you have any other advice on building and maintaining those relationships with your clients?
I think in experience, you're just trying to be as positive and upbeat, like Mark said, like you have to be the person, like we know the emotions in real estate. I think when I got into it, I joked about it, like you're dealing with people, their family and their money and their house. Right? This is most important things basically in their life for the most part. And you're in the midst of the middle of that. And you can't forget what that comes with. That comes with a lot of pressure. And so I say to our team, we're their Sherpa. We take them up, Mount Everest here. We got to get them through all the things. So there's just a lot of things that we run into, and the more positive you can be about it. And I probably learned this personally over time is you can't take their frustrations personally because you don't want to get into this with them.
Yeah.
You got to, if they're mad at you, let it bounce off you, move on to something next and get it back to what's important to them.
That's right.
And so I think that's important. And you got to speak with ultimate confidence, because if you hem and haw, they're not going to trust you.
Yes.
They're going to be there. You just got to be like, I'm confident this is what it is. And if they want to go different, that's totally fine. But just make sure that your position is solidified so you know that you have a direction for them and you're not the Sherpa that's taking them on the long path.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't want to be told what to do, right? We need to help them understand what they need to do and have them tell us. Like that's the ultimate goal, right? So it's a matter of that relationship, and that's that whole thing of like we boldly advise and then step back. Again, like I said earlier, like we're can say that, and then I say, hey, at the end of the day, you're like we're the consultant, you're the boss, and now they have whatever we've told them to think about along with their other thoughts and make a decision. Which at the end of the day is their decision. We're not going to force anybody to do anything. We just got to educate them.
Yeah, that's what I found like her too. It's like if you give everybody all the information, they usually choose the right thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting it to them.
Is there anything else I should have asked you guys that you didn't? And then Dwight has a question.
Yeah,
Well, my question was, you guys practice scripts for this stuff?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, we do scripting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have now made our scripting on Fridays solely listing focused. So to make sure that we're having conversations about a lot of different, like how to get opportunities for listings, but how to handle that. And then also we do coaching on a consistent basis, especially with the people who are listing, to make sure we're versed in
How
this.
are you developing your scripts? Just from your experience, or you get them from sources, or?
I mean, I'd say a little bit both. From experience, from masterminds, we are coached by the Tom Ferry organization as a leadership team. So a lot of stuff comes from that. I mean, Tom Ferry's all over it. You guys know his stuff. If you don't look into his podcasts and stuff, you'll stay in tune with the market. He's great. So a lot of it comes from that as well. But past experience, trial and error, refining things that work in today's market. The market's always shifting, right? Whether it's the holidays, whether it's rates, whether it's summer, whether whatever's going on. So we're always trying to stay ahead of the curve with our team training.
I would say just to that point though, the scripting piece, and we talked about this in our team meeting, is if it's listings or it's buyers, we do a lot of scripting more than we ever have. So I feel like we made a huge improvement in that. But if you want to be a professional in this, it's like you have to do that. 'Cause you have to be ready when the conversation happens. If you're not ready, you get caught off guard, and then you lose a deal or you don't get the opportunity.
And you're practicing in your.
Well, I'm thinking like, what other job do you do that in, or what sport? You don't go, I want to be great at this, but I'm never going to practice.
Just wing it.
Right? I mean,
So true.
there's just no other world that exists, right?
Right.
So why would we think we'd be successful in real estate unless you do the behind the
Yeah,
scenes, like
for sure.
stuff? And then we
So
learn,
true.
right? You go to a situation, you're like, hey, I used to jot down notes all the time from the listing appointment. Oh God, I forgot to do that, or I should have had a better answer, right? Like you got to learn from the mistakes too. So
Yeah.
What do you say to people that have a home to sell that call you?
when do you want to meet?
Yeah.
That's the best phone call I've ever. That's my favorite. Yeah. Next step. I mean,
What do you mean? What's the
Sell their home, buy the next home. What are your intentions in that? What's your advice?
they have to sell to buy.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the biggest thing. We want to set a meeting so that we can talk about, because it's a lot going on, right? And don't forget, like in their mind, it's overwhelming. Is we sat down, we talked about a strategy session of how we can make this work for you. And the different risk levels was, putting your home on the market first or waiting. We take a path a lot of times of having the home totally ready so that we can push the button when they're ready to put an offer on the home that they're looking at. And in that case,
Contingent offer,
contingent
so
offer,
you're fine writing contingent offers, you get their home ready to go on the market immediately.
especially in the current market that we're in, because things are setting longer. So, but we want to make sure that what we get pushback in is they say, oh, we don't want to do that yet. Well, then they find the perfect home and now we're in scramble mode. And you can't call them up and say, I'll be on in 2 weeks. No one wants to hear that. But if I get them up front, one, they sign a listing agreement because we don't provide the value until they do that. And two, now we can push the button, we can be on the market the next day.
That's
And it shows what we do to provide value to them. We say, at the end of the day, if you don't find it for a month or 6 months, we still, we will provide this value up front to be in the best position.
What a great money-making conversation. Like, oh, how can I like solidify a plan in their mind so they're not out there just like looking at open houses, falling in love, writing an offer, calling you, hey, I wrote an offer and now can you sell my house? Right? Instead, you're like part of the whole process.
This is huge in this market, guys. Right now, everybody's retreating because they can't see how it could work. It's too complicated. There's too much going on. When all that's when it's taking place, everybody just wants to retreat, right? Go back to home and do what they're doing and not worry about it. So we have to provide a path, have a strategy session, have conversations, educate, show them opportunity. And they get to decide if it works or not, but we have to do that for sure.
awesome. Wait, Lauren had a question and then Laura.
Yeah, so, well, it's kind of two parts to that. Let's say you have a client that, you have a conversation with them and you're saying we're gonna wait to push the button, but what if they do find a house that they love out of state and they write an offer? And maybe they're not communicating with you the best way so that you can, consult them and strategize with them. And then they're making it a little bit more difficult than to sell their home. Like, how do you approach that in a way that's like, I'm, doing my best to communicate with you, but you're not really doing the same.
So like they've gone and made an offer on a property without you knowing, and now you're scrambling type thing.
Is it out of state?
Or they're
Out of
like
state,
going out of
yeah.
state, or, they're making decisions and they're not really like looping you in.
I mean, it's always great if you can get a referral out of state, because then you can be on the same page with the agent and,
Yeah.
and also get income from it. But I think that would probably stem back if you could go back to whether it's days, weeks, months in the conversation to the original conversation. Like, you just got to ask enough questions to understand the situation. Because if we don't know what they're thinking or how they're going about it, then we just don't know and we can't advise properly. But that might just be saying in the very beginning, sounds like you're looking to buy out of state. Help me understand your process and just start asking enough questions so you really know everything and you can stay closer to it versus, only knowing 60% of it and then being blindsided.
Yeah.
Like so.
And then another question that I had was, let's say, you that have their home on the market for 30 days and you hold an open house and you kind of see that the sellers are starting to be a little bit lax with keeping the home clean, keeping the condition. Maybe they're not moving their vehicles out of the driveway. Like, how do you guys approach those types of conversations? We're trying to make sure that the sellers are still like motivated to keep the condition as good as it was on photo day.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those recently. So one of them was really, it wasn't mine personally, but man, it was tough. But I have one personally that I had to address, and so far so good. I always put it back. Hey, I just want to make sure I put you in the best position to sell your home. So I, got a little feedback that there was, maybe some of the cars were in the driveway and so forth. And we just want to make sure that it looks as best as possible, because a perfect buyer could come through the open house. And I don't want them to get distracted by the cars or maybe some of the stuff that was left out. And I just tell you that because I know how important it is to get to Arizona. Is there any way you could do that? Like, I just appreciate it. Like, this is team coming from like, not pinning them down or I'm frustrated at you, but this is for the benefit of you. Back to your motivation.
Use
Sounds good.
feedback, yeah,
Making it about
use
them.
feedback in others, the market or whatever it
Yeah.
is, as the reason. Because if you say, I think, I want you to, I need you to, it just feels so different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've always found in my career when I'm the one having to deliver the bad news, it always comes off
Yeah.
poorly. But if I can find another source for the bad news,
Right.
I'm on their side.
Yeah.
We're in this together.
It's the triangle again.
Yeah,
Always
yeah,
have
I love that.
Always have the other thing out here. It's not you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Laura.
Inspections, are you having your sellers pre-inspect right now?
We never have, honestly. It's kind of like the tough part in my experience, not that we've done it, but I've had a few clients do it, is the challenge can be, right, they're probably gonna get another inspection typically, and the inspector picks it apart and finds new stuff because they have nothing to find. So that's one thing we've had a challenge with. I mean, the flip side, I get it, like, knowing up front, right, what's going on and there's no surprises. But I think the frustration has been when they did everything and now they got to fix 4 other things that the new inspector saw. So-
And you have to disclose it.
And you have to disclose it too. Now you know everything. So now they literally, there's everything has to be fixed or we have to tell you. And so it gets a little challenging. So we haven't done that path. Try to do a good job of setting expectations with inspection as much as we can up front, both sides. So we can, I feel like that is the hardest part of a transaction period. I mean, it always is, right? Seller doesn't want to give up anything, especially in the market we're in. Buyers are thinking, market's got 2 heads of inventory. I want a new house. Right, so balancing those expectations has been super important.
I've always thought that pre-inspections were great for like a really hot market where you might have some competition. You might be able to get a buyer to waive a contingency because you've given them a piece of information about the condition of the house. But in a tough market, you're right. Your inspector could find something that the other inspector was never going to find.
Guarantee.
Yeah.
Well, no inspector wants to do an inspection and not find something.
Right.
So the whole livelihood is finding stuff, you know what I'm saying?
That's really
yeah.
exciting. Sean and then Peter.
Yeah, how does the messaging change when it's like third, fourth, or fifth price reposition?
Well, hopefully you don't go down that path.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting that far, you're on life support.
Yeah.
You're starting to really get to points. So you're trying to make significant enough price repositions to not get to that level. But at the same time, it really doesn't change much to say that, hey, I know you were hoping for more based upon what we originally spoke about, but the market has clearly told us this is what the home is worth. And I want to make sure that we get this sold and here's the price, that the market's telling us. So it doesn't change drastically, but the relationship and how close you stay to them better be super tight. Right.
I think if you got to that point, your price repositions haven't been big enough to start with, or it shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 max, honestly. So be bold and get it right the first time and have 2 hard conversations and try to have 5.
Yeah. Nick. And then Peter, sorry.
I'm gonna give you a scenario, it'll be simple, but we're gonna ask, the question is gonna be, where would you find sources to create that market, the triangle that you're talking about, Matt?
Sure.
You have a listing, there's nothing that's sold in the past month. You've been on the market 2 weeks with no activity. It probably needs the price drop, I would think, but where do you find the data to justify, to take to yourself, I should say, and that here's what the market is telling you, you have no information from those sources.
Big thing is MLS views to see what kind of activity you've seen there. Zillow views, saves, right? If it's really low saves, that's probably telling you something. If it's really overpriced, you'll see that'll be, a lot of people may look at it, but no one's saving it, which is kind of a clear indicator that it's not. Always look like price value proposition, right? Is a mismatch when you're up that high. So I think those 2 things, and if 0 showings in 2 weeks would be a clear indicator that the market is speaking. Like that's the biggest one, right? Like no one has taken the time to come see the property. And even if like 10 people have saved it or whatever, but those 10 people are on the sidelines and we want to get them into the game. And right now we have to reposition so they see the price value and then back to their motivation. So again, the triangle is still the information and then back to the motivation. And it may be you set up like this week, you just set the conversation up, right? Like we don't see something this week, we probably need to really look at, and then next week you go for it because that way it's seated in.
Just think about where consumers start, and they're almost always online. So it's online. Are they coming through the house for showings? Are they making offers? I'm going wrong. Like to get to the goal, right? It's the disconnect is somewhere in there. So again, to Matt's point, if you've had 400 views online and nobody's came to the property, Mr. Seller, the disconnect is your house is getting attention. Our marketing's working. There's just a disconnect right now between them coming through the house. Usually that means we just need to reposition the price a bit. Like, and it can be a disconnect in either one of those the stages, right? That is really related to price because good homes priced well will sell.
And imagine the conversation, like setting up ahead of time, saying, we look at Zillow counts, we look at this, like to use this as data points, pre-setting them up for, so when you deliver the news to them, they're expecting, because you don't have, you have no comps to go by, but you do have data. And if you like if you were to set the expectation in the listing appointment, or as you're listing the property, like, hey, this is some of the information we're going to deliver you, they'll probably have more validity.
And that is part of our listing presentation. That is part where we tell them that this is what we'll be looking at, so they know that's what to expect. And don't forget that, I use this example to our team all the time, that every seller thinks this is their baby, right? So it's getting rejected right now, right? So they're
rejected.
yeah, that's the way they feel, right?
Yeah.
So there's the emotions that come with that, right? Because I've not met a seller that doesn't love their home and think that the extra insulation and the custom shelving they did themselves is make it worth 40,000 more. So I've been there. Yeah.
Peter.
I just want to make a comment to your question. The way we avoid finding out they're buying another home is when we know going in, they're going to buy in the area. We get a buyer broker agreement signed with the listing agreement. And if they're going out of state, we do everything in our power to refer them to another great Keller Williams agent, because we have 765 market centers and 165,000 agents, or whatever the numbers are.
Mhm.
And as leadership in this market, we know the right people in the market you're going to.
I wish that was the case, that they have a family friend who lives in the state.
It's a
And
perfect
they're
spot.
telling them very different information than I am about the market.
That's always tough.
If they're trusting their.
That's tough.
agent
Well,
from another state, very different market.
And you don't have a signed listing agreement, right?
From that,
They did.
from where they're going.
She's,
Oh, she is on the market.
she's on the market.
Mhm.
Because that won't lie.
Thanks.
So
Not
I was
every
just-
seller makes the right decision.
I was gonna say, one thing to be careful of just in that scenario, like Peter's spot on, like if you can find an agent for him, I mean, that's something you'll hop on, say, you know what, we can work in unison, we'll be a team. But if you don't have a signed listing agreement and you know they have someone they know, be careful, like get that signed quickly, because guess what they're gonna do over there? They're gonna try to refer back the other way. They're gonna try to get you out of the picture, right? Because they want to get on that side, so.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you
Good
guys.
stuff.
So many
Yeah.
good little nuggets. Thank you. Come
Yeah.
back next week. We'll talk about market stats. Thank you guys. Figure out a plan for them.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
appreciate it.
Thanks.